Okay, so 2022 has been a very active year for the Angry Birds franchise. Lots of games, shows, and more have been released, and today I'll be discussing them in this video. So first off, let's start off with all the new games. The first game to come out this year was Angry Birds Journey. Now this game technically isn't new, as it first soft launched in 2020 as Angry Birds Casual on iOS in some countries. Then a year later, it would be soft launched in more countries and on Android as well, under the name Angry Birds Journey. But this year, in January 20th, would be when it would release worldwide. They also did a special bonus where if you had already installed it in the games it was available, or if it wasn't available in your country if you pre-ordered it, you get a special golden, red, and blue stellar avatar. Now this game got a few updates throughout this year as well. One of those being Feathered Frenemies. This event featured two celebrities that I don't care enough to find out who they are, and you have to play levels to do stuff to get avatars or something. Most Journey events would be like this, such as Christmas, Valentine's, Easter. The Halloween one is most notable for killing off Hal. However, this is not the only game that came out this year. Another game came out, which I like to call Disappointment. Rovio Classics Angry Birds was released on March 31st, 2022. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail on this one, as I've made several videos about this game, and I'm pretty sure you can take a guess what my thoughts on it are. The game is a remake of the original Angry Birds, but only features the levels that were released in 2012, minus Bad Piggies and the Golden King Pig. Trouble with this though is that it made the game feel rushed, because it missed more than half the content the latest version of the game had, as well as the physics being whack. The only updates this game got were patching bugs that shouldn't have even been in the game in the first place, like the Matilda corpse flying on the main menu. How did this get past the testing phase? But there are still a lot more bugs to be patched and content to be added, but don't expect this to happen, as Rovio clearly don't care about this game and it hasn't been updated in 6 months. Rovio accounts also relaunched alongside it, but as of now they are not really notable as they haven't been added to any other games. There is another game that released this year, so let's talk about it right now. Angry Birds Racing soft-launched in the US and Canada in early November on Android devices. I won't go into too much detail, as I've already made a whole video on it you can go watch after this if you want. But all you need to know is that it is a racing game that is very much incomplete, and you can flip your characters to boost, and other characters give you perks. It is unknown when or if it will launch in other countries. That's it for the games, but there was still more stuff that happened this year, so let's get to the updates to the games that are already out, starting with Rovio's favorite game. So it's been a pretty good year for Angry Birds 2. May would be when the long-awaited Pick Your Flock feature would come to the game. This would make it so rather than having the 7 main birds plus 1 extra bird on your flock, you could choose out of any 8 birds you have unlocked. This made the game so much more funner and customizable, and it was permanent, so even better. This has also led to Stella, Hal, Bubbles, and Leonard getting hats as well, which is very good. More hats also came out this year, as they do every year. I'm not going to talk in detail about them because I don't care. The best thing to come to the game this year though has to be Melody. While her design isn't very appealing, and I don't think this franchise needs any more new characters, at least until they can figure out how to use the ones they currently have equally. But Melody's power is fun to use, and I'm glad she's been added to the game. I made a whole video on her that performed terribly, so go watch that after this one. You can watch the Angry Birds Racing one after that. Right, so on to the next game. So Friends has had a year. Mainly just new tournaments. There were ones for Popeye, Angry Birds Journey, Angry Birds Space, Summer, the World Cup, Halloween, Christmas, and much more. Pretty nice selection, I'd say. That's not it for the games though, as in April the Star Cup would receive a major update. Star Cup Rule, which adds leagues, Stella, and changed the menu and background, and overall just making it better and much funner to play. The Blues Tallest Tower was also added in December, which is a mode where you have to help the Blues build a tower by playing 3 daily levels every day. Pretty fun mode. There was also a new Stellar icon, and there was also a mini slingscope added for players for some reason. Friends had a nice year now that I look back on it. Now onto arguably the only good game they still have available. So surprisingly, Bad Piggies actually got a couple of updates this year. The first one was on my birthday, November 1st. What a birthday gift! Nothing was added! Well, there wasn't a race save data button, so at least there was something. The second Bad Piggies update this year would launch in mid-November. It would add Snout Gems, a new currency similar to Snout Coins. They would be used to buy loot crates, while Snout Coins would be used to buy power-ups. The HD version also got a new app icon, or should I say an old icon. Before this update it'd have the normal one, but after this one it would get changed to the 2012 HD app icon. This isn't all that happened in this update though. A bug would appear in the HD version. In the normal version, the parts would be larger and take up more screen space, but in the HD version it was made for bigger devices, making the parts much smaller and making the game much better to play than the normal version. However, this update would make the parts the same size as they are in the normal version on the HD version. Now only like a day after this happened, the Android version would get an update to fix this. But the iOS version? Nothing. A week would go by and I wasn't going to wait any longer, so I hit up my best friend, the CEO of Rovio's DMs, to tell him that this update had not been released on iOS yet. To which he'd reply, the iOS update had been submitted as well. Now this would mean 2 things. 1, they had just submitted it and were waiting for it to get approved by Apple. Or 2, and the one I feared the most, he and the team interpreted that I meant the update that happened before it. Sadly, the latter was true. So I hit his DMs up again 4 days later, informing him in much more detail what I had meant. Then a few hours later, the update was launched on iOS, and this was all because of me. No need to thank you. Stop applauding, really, come on, I don't need the applause. And that's it for Bad Piggies this year, so now on to the next game. So Dream Blast had a good year, probably, I don't know, I didn't play it. I play more manlier games like Thomas and Friends Hero of the Rails for Wii. Dream Blast did reach 10k levels this year, which I don't see how that's really a flex. Most people who play the game are never going to get there, plus they aren't made by an actual person, but rather randomly generated, so the game could have infinite levels effectively, but congratulations I guess. The 10k levels update added an endless level, which for some reason isn't permanent. I don't see why it was limited time. I think it'd be fun to have that as a permanent thing, but oh well, I didn't play the game, I don't care. Now in October, they did have a YouTube Premium update, where if you played relatively easy levels, you'd get 2 months of YouTube Premium free. That's a good thing. Though it only worked with people who hadn't had YouTube Premium before, which I have, so I didn't get to claim it. The Christmas update also added the Mighty Ice Cream, where if you beat levels, you'd build your ice cream and it would fall if you fail a level. There was also seasonal updates like Cherry Blossom, 4th of July, Halloween, Christmas, and all the other usual stuff you'd expect. But that's really it. I probably could have gone on for a lot more if I'd actually played this game, but I don't play it, so oh well. Now on to Angry Birds Reloaded. So this game got 9 new episodes this year. Well, I say new, I mean they reuse old levels, so it's not really new, but... Daft Piggies in January, Birdnapped in May, Finding Zeta and Midsummer Mayhem in June, Piglantis in July, Moon Festival in August, Hamoween and Hamoween 2 in October, and Pie Hard 2 in December. The Piglantis update in July brought in golden eggs. There would be one hidden in every level that was already in the game, apart from Pie Hard, which got 2 for some reason, don't know why. Hamoween in October brought on the Carnival with 2 minigames. One being a spin the wheel to get bird coins, tickets, and power-ups, and the other being 3 daily levels each day to complete to get tickets. These aren't new levels, but rather ones already in the game chosen at random. It also added Halloween costumes, which you can buy with the tickets mentioned earlier. Hamoween 2 added more Halloween costumes, and Pie Hard 2 in December added Christmas costumes as well as Red's advent calendar. Every day until Christmas, you can open a door and get a prize. This can be a power-up, bird coins, tickets, an exclusive costume, or an exclusive level. Mighty Eagle would also be added to the game in March. He would behave exactly how he did in the original games, only difference being there would be a big sardines on levels you hadn't completed, and you'd have to wait an hour to use him on a level you haven't completed. Whereas if it's a level you have completed, you can use him anytime. Now there are still some games we need to talk about that got updates this year, but these aren't as important, so let's go for a quick fire round. Angry Birds Transformers, new battle passes and presumably new characters. Angry Birds Pop, new skins, new battle passes and levels. Angry Birds Blast, event reruns and presumably new levels. Angry Birds Evolution, bug fixes. The icon also got changed to its original one, but then got reverted to the much nicer looking newer one. There is more about this game, but that will be discussed later in this video. Angry Birds Match, event reruns and presumably new levels. Angry Birds Isle of Pigs, nothing. Angry Birds Explore, it got delisted this year, but the new merch still includes codes for it, because now it's moved to a web version with QR codes instead of the app version with bird codes. Angry Birds Bird Island, removed and replaced with the inferior Angry Birds Mayhem Simulator, where you go around and destroy structures with hatchlings. Later in the year, it would get reverted back to Bird Island, but with Mayhem Simulator as an optional mode in the game. There was also an Angry Birds DLC in Minecraft. It added Bird Island as a hub world and some poorly made slingshot levels. It's also annoying because you can only be the movie birds in the DLC. Outside it, you can only use the Summer Madness versions. Ugh. There was also a new China exclusive game called Angry Birds Mini Hero. It's an RPG game which features humans. It also has the imp mummy from Plants vs Zombies too, so that's something. That's it for the games, but there were still some Geek Labs this year, so let's talk about those. If you don't know what a Geek Lab is, game developers will make an ad for a game they haven't put into production or is in very early production, which will lead to a fake store. And if the user clicks the install button, they will be greeted to questions on why they pressed the install button and what they'd want to see in this game if it were to release. There were many Angry Birds ones this year. One of these being an RPG one with the movie designs called Angry Birds Kingdom. You drag your characters down and attack enemies similar to Clash Royale. There were 2 dice-themed ones released on the same day. One with a traditional Angry Birds skin called Angry Birds Dice Adventure, and the other one being the exact same thing but with a medieval theme called Angry Birds Dice Quest. They have the exact same game style and gameplay, just one wearing medieval hats. I don't see what the point is, literally. They could just release the normal one and then have the hats as optional hats in the game, but I don't know, it's Rovio, they're weird. There was also Angry Birds Brawl, which would be a fighting and brawling game, set to launch on multiple platforms. And finally, there was a Geek Lab for Angry Birds Epic, showing Rovio are expressing interest in bringing it back, but as a new game because the ad calls it new, so don't know what that would entail. There was also one for Angry Birds Evolution indicating they are expressing interest in giving it new content because last time I received new content was in 2019. Also in April in Angry Birds 2, there will be a pop-up for some players about a new Angry Birds Crazy Golf game. It's not a Geek Lab page, but it showed early gameplay like Geek Lab ads would, so I thought it'd be best to mention it here. That's it for the Geek Lab pages, but there are more things to talk about, like YouTube. So this year there was a new YouTube channel called Angry Birds Gaming, which officially launched in March, and the new Rovio Discord server, Rovio Gaming, released a few days later. The YouTube channel would focus on game update news, whereas the original channel would focus more on animations and shows. Speaking of which, 2 old shows got new seasons this year. Unfortunately, they were the 2 worst Angry Birds shows, those being Angry Birds Makerspace and Angry Birds Bubble Trouble. The new seasons have much better animation than their original seasons, especially Makerspace. Look at this glow up. There was also a new Angry Birds show. This was not on YouTube, but rather a Netflix exclusive. It was called Angry Birds Summer Madness, which focused on teenage versions of Red, Chuck, Bomb, and Stella in a summer camp called Camp Splinterwood. The first batch of episodes were released in January, and there would be 2 more batches throughout the year. They call them new seasons, but they're all supposed to be part of the same season, so they're all just season 1 to me. It is unknown if it will be renewed for another season. That's it for the shows, but we still have more to talk about, like merchandise. There were Journey and Classic shirts on Amazon. There was also boxing stuff made by Company Venom, like boxing gloves, boxing pads, gum shields, and reflex balls. There were also classic and Toon-style water bottles made by Company Ion 8. There were also skateboards made by Company Capsule. And the most important merch of the year were the Mighty Mojo plushies released in December. These were made by Commonwealth, the company that made Angry Birds plushies from 2010 to 2017. The characters in the set are Red, the Blues, Chuck, Bomb, Stella, Minion Pig, Woman Pig, and Mighty Eagle. There was also an exclusive classic Red plush made by LRG, which was given out to Rovio employees and the people that run Angry Birds Facts and Angry Birds Network at the time. I'm one of those people, so I got it. There were also some Angry Birds in real life events, such as Angry Birds at Electric Gamebox, which is an interactive slingshot game you can play at Electric Gamebox in London. There was also an Angry Birds indoor theme park that opened up in summer in China called Angry Birds Adventure World. Now let's discuss my thoughts on Angry Birds in 2022. Honestly, it's been a letdown for me. Only Angry Birds related thing I cared about going into 2022 was Rovio Classics Angry Birds, and that turned out to be an awful letdown. The classic plushies are also cool, but they are really expensive if you live outside the US, which I do. And everything else has just been useless crap which I don't care about. Let's hope 2023 is a good one for the franchise. We do have Bad Piggies 2 launching, well, soft launching, so let's hope it's not a letdown. Let me know what you thought of Angry Birds in 2022 in the comments, subscribe and like the video.